Hi, everyone. I wanted to come to you because there's this new show. Well, it's new to me called Sweet Life Los Angeles. And it has two seasons. The second season just dropped, I think about a month or so ago. And it's Issa Rae's show. And it's a reality show. And I was hooked on my first episode because it is about a friend group. They're all Black friend group in Los Angeles, and they're in their 20s, like 26 to 29. And it so reminded me of that time in my life where my friend group and I were trying to establish ourselves and have our career. And it's based in a lot of the same neighborhoods because this is mostly in Inglewood, but Inglewood is right down the street from Ladera and Windsor Hills and Baldwin Park. No, Baldwin Hills, sorry. So all of this is just the space where you are kind of trying to move into this circle. And Inglewood right now is being built to be more of a hotspot. And whereas when I was in my early 20s, Ladera was the hotspot, not Inglewood, for Black people. And so, and there's this whole naming of it now as Black Beverly Hills, and there's this whole goal in trying to buy back our neighborhoods and all of that. So I'm going to say I love this show, the first premise of it. I was wrapped in the story. But there are some things that I do want to discuss. One of the things that I did not like about it was the men getting into like these verbal altercations with women. We would never speak to each other this way. And so that was the kind of disconnect that I struggled with. I I we also didn't date so much in the friend group. So that's a little another disconnect that I had. And whenever they keep bringing up this hierarchy of the friendship, like there's certain people that you can't anger or something. And to be honest, we never really spent a lot of time, saving our friendships to the point where if someone was to really betray the friend group, then it was okay, you got to go. And we still hold strong to that, now, all these years later, they're not close friends with us still. And and I think that they probably weren't ever really close friends. Um, so there's that. And so I don't want to go through all of the characters, but I will say there's some issues. Another issue that I had was I hate calling using the N, like I do say the N word, but I hate having to use it so loosely, like, oh, these are my, and these are my, I like, why can't we say these are my dudes? Like, I never spoke in this way of like, these are my, like, and they never spoke about themselves that way. And I also am struggling with stuff like, and these are, how many bees are here? Like, I mean, I do not like how many times they talk about calling themselves or their friends the B word. And that never happened in my friend group. So I struggle with that. I think it's bogus. But all that to say, how do I feel about the show? Love the show. And I want to talk about some of the character issues that I do think. I don't know if there's a problem with colorism, but I will say it just so happens that the characters, the female characters that have darker skin, tends to be the one that pops off the most. So, like Miami and Ty, they tend to pop off really, really hard. Whereas um, those who are of lighter skin, like Bree and Becky, they don't. And I'm not sure. I hate that this follows within this stereotype that kind of leads people to draw to those conclusions when I don't want people to think that. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I know kind of how I hate for people to analyze the colorism aspect, but it becomes, by the end of season two, it becomes so apparent that uh that there is this depiction of, certain women who pop off more than others. I also, at the end of season one, I will say that, in my opinion, I felt that Jordan was childish. And he's a guy. I think that Jordan was childish. He doesn't like to come to the terms that he has a level of privilege. His mom had to check him and be like, "Yeah, you're privileged because mom had the ability to invest. Yeah, we had sacrifices, but um to say that you had no privilege is ridiculous." I also think that the show, season one, was able to really tap into Black men's mental health in a way that I thought was really powerful and something to watch. And I mean, I talk about this with my husband all the time. Like, I've known him for, I think, 12, 13 years. And I have never seen him cry, ever. And I find that to be such a weird thing. And anytime I bring it up to him, he's like, why are you so interested in seeing me cry? And it's like, I'm not necessarily interested. I just don't think that this is healthy. Like, I've seen him I know when he gets angry, he gets bothered, but I've seen him get really angry a few times. So his overall emotion is this evil kill. He'll get bothered a little bit. Um, he laughs, uh, but and even laughter, like he may say, "That's funny," versus like having a pure laugh. There's only a few pure laughs, but as a whole, I mean, he's pretty even kill. I'm the emotional one. And I just find that to be, I don't know how healthy this is. And so I thought it was really cool that the whole season one, you see these Black men coming to terms with their own mental health. And that is such a powerful thing, especially since even when my friend group, we didn't really focus on mental health at all. And I remember when um, my best friend, his dad died, and seeing him kind of break down into these tears, it was like, oh, it was nice that all of the men had him. And I just thought that was a really powerful thing. Um, Other than that, I mean, I really loved the first season. It was the second season that I struggled with because Brianna, I like Brie. Let's talk about Brie for a second. I like Brie a lot, but the struggle that I had with Brie is I still like Brie a lot. And um, the struggle that I have with Brie is that I think that she allows herself, her friends, to kind of influence how she thinks about things. And um, the dude that she's with, is it Patria Patria Pateri from New York? I thought that he would have been a great catch. I hope that she unconvinces herself that this is a bad idea. They would be great. I think that Pateri bought a friend for Becky, and somehow she talked herself out of not really liking him and has conned herself back into liking PJ. And I don't like PJ. I think PJ is an immature young man. Him and Jordan are both immature, by far, too immature for me. And because in season one, he brings Miami to an event and he into an overnight weekend. Miami has this very feisty attitude, and and it does help make Becky jealous. And then PJ ends up dumping her on a boat in Mexico, and it's just like, this is just tacky. And so I really think, and so the fact that they're getting back together at the end of the season, I'm hoping that this don't last, because he needs time to mature as an adult, and he's not ready. And so I mean, I guess we'll see what happened. I can't wait till season three about that. Uh, I I like Becky a lot too. So, except that I do think that she harps on things a little too long. Like her energy for PG, I think it should have been a one and done situation. I have an energy for you right now. I'm going to tell you how I feel and be done with it. Like dragging this on for days, months, it's a bit much for me. I absolutely cannot stand Miami. I think Miami has this very lackadaisical, passive aggressive attitude. And then she has this best friend, Rob, who is the only um, gay person on the show. And he was the epitome of a stereotype, a negative stereotype against gay men. He was so messy, so over the top, so rude, so everything that nobody wants to be his friend. I cackled when he couldn't pass the background and was told that he has to get off the show and had to go home. I was like, ain't that something? You up here starting all this trouble with everybody's friend group, and you gonna turn around and um can't pass the background. Okay. I mean, and then not one person was rude, gave him the same energy that he gave everybody else, because somebody needed to be like, so what you stole? Something. Um, Besides that, we had um I don't understand Ty. I don't understand Ty because she is willing to say whatever, have consequences, whatever. And she is willing to blow things way out of proportion. The way that she talked about uh, her good friend's boyfriend and calling him beyond out his name. was unacceptable. I don't think that anything called for that. And then she was trying to defend herself for saying it. And it takes so long to get an apology out of her that is just so strange. Because if these are your friends and you want to say you want to be reckless with your mouth, but then you don't want to apologize for anything, you don't want to come clean with anything, and that's just the most frustrating thing to be. And then she's always crying every single time that she knows she's dead wrong. But the one thing, and I guess I can tie this into, she has her boyfriend whom I don't like. I think that her boyfriend is okay. One thing I don't like is I do not like this whole concept that I have to go around and keep promoting that I'm from Inglewood. So people from Inglewood, like I say, I was born in Inglewood because Inglewood lived in Windsor Hills, but Inglewood has the nearest hospital. So I was born in Inglewood, but I wasn't raised in Inglewood. So I actually say Inglewood, but I know that there's a plethora of people who like, oh, I'm from the wood. And that was before the movie came out, or, and all of these different phrases. But this idea of, oh, you from the wood, but you're not from the wood, because people visualize that if you're from the wood, then you're more authentic than somebody who's not very authentic at all. So this concept, Ty's boyfriend, is this whole I'm from the wood, because he likes to exude that I'm just so much harder, and then I'm from, and then my dudes are the wolves or something. I think it's just ridiculous. And anyone who has to continue to exhibit from the wood is someone that I think is suspect. My husband was born, I think he was born in Gardena, but he lived in Inglewood too at one point. Nobody goes around and flaunts it like the way that they do it on TV, on this, that way that he does it with his crew, which I think is just ridiculous. So the thing that I was really annoyed with, though, let me see if it's on, I guess, let me see if, okay. So it's Candace and Ty's boyfriend. So I think it's Kaylin and Jalen that are the two individuals. Well, Jalen wants a baby. So this is my thing. Jalen wants a baby. He feels that a baby is something that he can commit to at this moment. He's just ready for it. He's good. He's just ready to go for it. Go for it. But um in the midst of the fact that he's just ready and all, but having a marriage is a bridge too far, too much commitment. Don't I need to have a baby first, and then we can think about marriage later. And Ty is like, no, I need a marriage, and then I can think about a baby. And what I don't understand about this whole interaction is, well, clearly Jalen feels this way because his father is the dude who had babies by all these other different women. And some of them he married, some of them he didn't. So he doesn't value marriage. And Jalen's mother was not one of the women that he married. So clearly marriage is not a thing. But I'm going to say this, though, about a baby. So even if it's easy to break up, because it's easier to break up when you're not married to somebody, I get that. But a baby is going to be here. Like, I can end the marriage, but the baby, I can't end the baby. So the concept that like this baby is something that I'm willing to jump into, but I'm not willing to jump into a marriage is so ridiculous and so pathetic. Like, I don't even understand what we're talking about right now. And what's so fascinating is that his cousin is Kaylin. And so Jalen's out here looking at rings. Then he sits around and talks to Kaylin, talking about, and Kaylin's like, nah, man, you need to think about, don't let these women have their agenda because Kaylin has a girlfriend named Candace. They've been together for 4 years. They live together. They got all their businesses tied together. They have all these financial things intertwined, but he's not willing. She's been off birth control and they're having unprotected sex, and she doesn't want to have a baby because, and he's like, well, I'm not getting married. It's on God's time to get married. But if we get it, but if we have a baby, we have a baby, and that's great. She's like, no, no, no. I want to be married first. And if I slip up and have a baby, then and be pregnant, I don't want to be pregnant without a ring. And I think that that's a fair assessment. She should not have to be walking around here pregnant without a ring if she doesn't want to. And he's like, that's your timetable. That's not cool. You shouldn't be talking to the girls. You shouldn't be doing anything. You should be having, you should be able to I don't want to have protected sex. And she's like, well, we're not having sex until you wrap it up. And so she's drawing her line. I feel like she's making a fair line to draw because she's setting boundaries. But it looks like that you either gonna break the boundary or because if you go and do birth control, you get an implant or you do any of these things and you continue to have unprotected sex, well, without a condom, and you at least protect yourself from getting pregnant. I don't know when he's going to make the decision that y'all need to be together first. Like, it doesn't seem like there's an urgency on his behalf to ever have a ring. So the question is, are you willing to be in the same situation for another 4 years or another 8 years? Because it looks like he's not running towards the altar at all. And that's something you have to take steps back and think about before, you get too much further into this. I mean, you guys own stuff together. I mean, I don't think I can't envision me owning stuff, getting into business with this person. I hope y'all have contracts with a man who's not my husband if he's just a boyfriend. I don't I don't think that that is a good path. I mean, hell, before I got married, I was with this guy and we shared a gym membership together. And that was a bridge too far for the both of us when he broke up with me for the last time after so many breakups. It was I kept the gym membership like a couple months after thinking, well, maybe we'll be together. And then I had to break down and be like, I'm not paying for his membership on my membership. And, we didn't exchange each other's keys, which I was like, here's your key. And he's like, no, keep it. And I was like, well, what is that supposed to mean? I'm supposed to have a key to your house and you're with someone else? Like, I eventually got with somebody else pretty soon after, but like that. And why you got a key to my house when you with someone else? Like he didn't even give me a chance to get my stuff back. But the point is, I learned from that lesson that gym membership. I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not intertwining anything with the boyfriend. So they're doing, both of them, Ty and Candace, is doing wifey things with two men who has zero intentions of wanting to be a wife, but Jay wants a baby. And and Caitlin was able, all these names, y'all. Caitlin was able to convince Jalen from not proposing to Ty. So, but at the same token, what kind of man is Caitlin to try to push a narrative to try not to convince Jalen from not wanting to propose to his girlfriend. But then also, what kind of man is so easily convinced to not propose to his girlfriend? So both of them need to go. But I am so insanely curious about what is it that men think that it's okay to getting a girl pregnant is something you need to do immediately, but I'm not immediately thinking about marrying her. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to get married, but if you're with a woman and that is her want, then don't be thinking about trying to get her pregnant. Like, this is her want. I am not interested in having a baby unless I'm married. Okay, the marker is drawn in the ground. I don't know. I just find the show is very interesting. It brings up all these issues. Like I said, Miami became my least favorite character because of how she's exhausting. And I think I don't dislike Rebecca and Gerald. No, is it? Yeah, it's Rebecca and Gerald. No, it's not Rebecca and Gerald. It's Gerald and Cheryl. I don't dislike them as a couple. I think that they're fine. I think Gerald is moves a little too slow for me, but I like him and his relationship together. I totally see them being together forever, and I totally see that he's very slow in moving. I think he needs to make a proposal. His dad clearly implied that you need to put a ring on it before you move in with her, but they decide to move in. And Rob Lee and Amanda are very nice. I think Rob Lee is the only man on this show that I actually have a high level of respect, and he just so happens to be an alpha. But I appreciate him. He's a lot more mature than the other people. The one thing I do have a problem with him is that he's a teacher and he's about to quit his job to become a full-time comedian. And I just think this is unwise. I'm going to need you to spend another year teaching and comedian and then walk away. Because right now, I understand that he wants some flexibility. So maybe he needs to become a substitute so he can work maybe a couple days out of a week and then he could still be able to travel. Like the notion, because the thing that I have a problem with is that it's not fair if you're moving in with your girlfriend and she's the one with the stable income and your income is up and down, up and down. And how does that work for her? How does that benefit her that you have this up and down relationship, up and down income? And how convenient that you're going to do up and down income when you have a girlfriend who has a consistent job that can pay the mortgage. Because she bought a house. I think that she's going to rent out the house and then she's going to get an apartment. So, I mean, I struggle with that. And so, but overall, I think the show was good. I think the show was great, but I look at it from today's my birthday, so my 40-year-old eyes. And I think I struggle with how ridiculous they sound. But as a whole, I do think it is a cool little show, and I appreciate it even more so because it is my background, my stomping ground at one point. So please get into Sweet Life LA. I think you'll enjoy it. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.